Hello everyone, welcome to my online prep. Today we'll start with chapter 21, that is Organizational Culture and Creativity, New Imperatives. The agendas under this lesson are understanding organizational culture creativity, the definition and characteristics of individual culture and organizational culture, the concept and features of individual creativity and organizational creativity, what is the difference between these terms like creativity and innovation, the impact of culture on creativity and vice versa in organizations, the essential qualities of a creative leader or manager, the strategies to create an ethical organizational culture, and what we can conclude with it. So, let us start with the first topic. In the previous chapters, we have studied about the various elements of organization that together work towards success. Two other important elements are organizational culture, which can be referred to as the environment which surrounds the employees, and creativity. It is the ability to make or produce new things using one's skill or imagination. Creativity is very important for today's organization. So culture can include various things like the employees, their work enjoyment, work relationships, and work processes. Creativity is the factor that requires skilled creative behavior, which the organization they can nurture with a resolve and passion. So the organization can make use of the skills, knowledge, abilities, creative and innovative talents so as to fulfill the organizational objectives. So, organizational creativity is definitely very important. It is a useful new product, service, or idea or processes by individuals. They're working together in a complex social system. Social because they're constantly interacting with each other, they're accepting their ideas, they're putting forward their opinions to others. So, definitely, organizations can be truly creative if only when such creativity takes place at individual level, group level, as well as organizational level. The employees they should be willing to give creative ideas using creativity and their own imagination, not just in their own area of work, but also they should contribute to the group or the department and the organizational goals. So, in today's global business organizations, they are becoming competitive. There's a need to study the organizational culture and creativity because these today are emerging as the twin drivers of organizational growth and development. So, we can say that it is definitely important that both culture and creativity should be nurtured in the organization. Now let us start by understanding these terms in detail. First, let us understand the meaning of organizational culture. So, if we talk about culture, it is a set of important understandings that people of a community they share in common. When people they are living in a close nearby area, they share certain ideas, perceptions, preferences, concept, etc., which create the distinctiveness among the human groups. Each human group has their own opinions, perceptions. We can say that culture is a combination of the factors that are learned through the interaction with the environment during our growth years. Similarly, if we define the culture in the organizational setting, so various behaviors and interactions with our superiors, with our colleagues, they will define what our perceptions, preferences in the organization are. So, four basic features of culture in this regard can be that every culture is unique, that is, if different organizations they have the same goal of creating, let's say, happy employees, still the strategy for the same could be quite different. One manager they could use a different strategy by providing more incentives, other could use more career development. Then cultures are triggers for spotting potential employees who can be a good fit for a particular job. For example, during the hiring process, the organizations they spot candidates who are more likely to thrive in those environments, who have previous experience in similar working conditions. Cultures are definitely dynamic, they are evolving, they're not static. They need to be grown and nurtured like any relationship. These new cultures, they evolve and change in external factors or due to expansion of operations. Other times, companies they fight to keep their culture from evolving from other core values. So, cultures they constantly change or evolve. Finally, some organizations can raise their internal cultures to become a part of their external identity and set themselves apart from the competition. For example, when we talk about companies like Facebook, we see that those brands are straight reflection of the energy, the internal cultures that distinguish them and their power so as to lead to financial success. So these are the four features of culture. Implementing them in organizational culture. So organizational culture can also be said to be a collective effect of the common beliefs, behaviors, and values of the people. Organization is nothing but a collection of people who work together towards certain common goal. So it can be defined as the philosophies, ideologies, values, etc. that knit the organization together. These are shared by its employees. What are the factors that keep the employees motivated, whether they are committed towards the overall mission, do they feel inspired, committed, and engaged, or they are dissatisfied. All of these things define the organizational culture. Now, the corporate culture, it can include the ways the organization conduct its business, treat its employees, customers, and the wider community, the extent to which freedom is allowed in decision making, developing new ideas and personal expression, how power and information flow through its hierarchy, also how committed the employees are towards the collective objective. So these definitions, explanations, they stress on sharing certain norms and values that guide the organization's members' behavior. These norms, values, they are the clear guidelines on how the employees are going to behave in certain situation, irrespective of the quality product that the organization has been inventing. If there are underlying attitude of, let's say, resentment, boredom, then the future of the organization will be uncertain and gloomy. So it is the duty of the managers to develop a culture where more positivity, motivation, and engagement is nurtured. Next, we have certain features of organizational culture which makes the organizations as high performing entities. First is innovation or risk orientation. Organizations that have culture that place high value on innovation, they encourage their employees to take risk and innovate in their performance. Those are characterized as good organizations. Then attention to detail. This is known as precision orientation. Here, the organization expects its employees to perform with their best effort. The characteristic of organization, how the employees are expected to be accurate in their work, right? Then we have emphasis on outcome. This is achievement orientation, where the organizations focus on results but not on how the results are achieved. So they focus on the quantity, not how or the process. Then emphasis on people. This is fairness orientation, how the decisions are going to affect the people in the organization. They place high value on how great the decisions are going to affect. For these, the companies, it is important to treat their employees with respect and dignity. Then we have teamwork, that is collaboration orientation. Here in organizations that organize work activities around teams instead of individuals, they place high value on this characteristic. People who work in these companies, they have positive relationships with their co-workers as well as their managers or superiors. Individual autonomy refers to responsibility orientation. This is where the employees they have enough freedom at work and they provide enough opportunities to exercise their own ideas, their own skills. So it results in high degree of responsibility, accountability, and ownership. People centric is people orientation that takes into consideration the impact of outcomes on people. That is, when we appraise the organization on the basis of these characteristics, the basis of shared norms, beliefs, understanding. So the people behavior and how they think. Then we have aggressiveness, that is competition orientation, where the group members are expected to be assertive or easygoing when dealing with companies. They compete within the market space. So that is aggressiveness. Organizations that have aggressive culture, they place high value on competitiveness and outperform the competition in any cost. And then finally, we have the stability or rule orientation that place high value on stability, rule oriented, predictability, and they're bureaucratic in nature. These type of companies, they typically provide consistent and predictable levels of output. They operate best in the non-changing market conditions. So these are the various characteristics, the different orientations that the organizations can have regarding their culture. Now, let us see the relationship between individual culture and organizational culture. This topic exists because each individual in the society, they have imbibed their own cultures that they have inherited from their parents or the place that they live in during their growth years. Hence, when they are stepping into the organization, they also need to carry a baggage of cultures, behaviors that they have already developed. Sometimes this can lead to conflict. When there's a cultural conflict, the culture of the organization does not fit well with the culture that the individual has. For this, some writers suggest that groups of people in the organization develop cultural systems that is based on their subunit grouping because they share common experiences and perceive the situations similarly. For example, when people from a particular, let's say, state in India, they come into the organization, they try to find people who also come from the same state or the area that they live in, that they share language, food habits, or living habits, so they form their own sub-unit grouping. Then they suggest and demonstrate that these sub-unit cultures can be distinguished from the organizational culture by the degree to which they support or challenge. Now, these sub-unit cultures, they might support certain norms of the organization while reject others. So, here cultural guidelines, when they are members of the subgroups, they can create different socio-cultural systems. In this view, like we said, tension and conflict arise. So, organizational behavior, now we can say that it is the study of human behavior in the organizational setting. It is the interface between human behavior and the organization itself. So, how the human behavior is going to affect the organization, how the people are acting within the organization, human tool for human benefit, all of these things are included under the organizational behavior. So a complex set of forces that affects the nature of organizations. They can be people, structure, technology, and environment. Environment again can be internal as well as external environment. This kind of environment also encourages the employees to spend more time on exploring a particular topic or area. So all of these things, these are going to affect how they are going to perceive the organization, the culture, and work towards the goals. Next topic is individual creativity and organizational creativity. Creativity we have already defined. It is the tendency to generate or recognize ideas, alternatives or possibilities that may be useful in solving problems, communicating with others and entertaining ourselves as well as others. So it has been associated with a wide range of behavioral and mental characteristics, how we are using ideas and contexts, application of multiple perspectives, curiosity, flexibility, all of these things come under creativity. Then creativity in a workplace is also increasingly viewed as a valuable organizational asset because they contribute new ideas. People who are creative, they are thinking out of the box. They're bringing in new ideas to a particular situation, they are bringing a new viewpoint that is going to be useful, right? So creation of valuable, useful new product, service, idea, procedure. When people are working together in a complex social system, we have defined these two terms. So individual creativity and organizational creativity. Now, creativity and innovation, these are two different complex terms. They are highly complex phenomena, right? So there are six cultural characteristics that are going to define an innovative organization. There is trust among the co-workers and also between the employee and the employer. Integrity should be there. Employees should know that their workers, they are co-workers, what they mean and the way they mean it when they say. Then we have respect. Respect among the employees is important towards each other as well as their employer or superior. Humility is there. Employees should be ready to accept each other's feelings with all humbleness. Faith, they should have believe in their own abilities and have confidence to move forward. And finally, hope. They should be open to possibilities that exist beyond their own experiences. So these definitions of organizational creativity, they can also be referred to a continuous dynamic process of finding good problems, solving them and implementing the good solution. So creative and innovative organizations are where a firm, they are sharing their beliefs among the members in an inspiration and visionary format of what the organization they're trying to achieve. So we have established the fact that organizational creativity is very important for the success of today's dynamic situations. But what are the factors that can have an influence on this creativity? Foremost is the organizational climate. It can be defined as a comprehensive impression of one's organization and the individual influence on the working environment, which in turn impacts on the individual behavior. Basically, a combination of what impression we have of the organization, whether we think that the organization deserves our effort, whether we want to contribute it, then individual influence on the working environment, the behavior of individual employees, they can motivate and influence others as well, and it will impact the individual's behavior. So the climate of the organization, more concerned with the frame of mind of the people who are working, the decision making processes, communications, coordination, controlling and psychological processes, all of these things come under it. Then we have the leadership style. The creative leaders, they stimulate creativity of their subordinates. They motivate them to use their imagination in order to provide their staff with new directions of development. They try to build an organizational culture that is conducive to creativity, creative thinking, stimulating other people's creativity. These are some of the features of the creative leader. Then we have the organizational culture. We have already discussed that organizational culture that supports creativity. It should nourish innovative ways of representing problems, finding solutions. Then regard creativity, it should be desirable and normal, and consider the innovative roles of the models that are identified with it. Basically, here the concept people like the organization where they are heard or they study something, they're more comfortable to share their ideas. There's a more exposure in the organization. Then we have resources and skills. In order to remain competitive, the organizations must strive to attract, develop, and retain the creative talent. Such a commitment of attracting and developing the intellectual capital, it should come from their corporate vision as well as their mission. So they should try to have people recruit who are more knowledgeable, intellectual, and creative in their thinking, their processes, and they have passion and resolve to work towards more creative working in the organization. And then finally, we have the structure and systems existing in the organization, the framework around and the systems that support the work being done in the organization. Here, adaptive organizational form that is flexible enough It is going to support the changing needs and the development stages of the organization. It also influences the design and structure of the current working. It is a source of creativity for the workers. So here we have mentioned the various elements of organizational creativity. We have the organizational climate that involves participation, freedom of expression, interaction with small barriers, the large number of stimuli, freedom of experiment, building on earlier ideas. These are some of the important elements that affect organizational creativity. Then elements of leadership style. The leader should be participative. The vision of the leader should be supporting creativity. They should develop effective groups. Regarding resources and skills, sufficient resourcing, effective system of communication and challenging work is going to affect structure and systems. There should be long termism, flat structure, fair supportive evaluation, and rewarding creative performance. Finally, how the organizational culture is going to affect the creativity. There should be open flow of communication, risk taking should be supported, then self initiated activity, participating, safety, and trust and respect for the individual. So, these are the factors. If they exist in the organization, they are going to influence the organizational creativity in a positive manner. So, we have discussed that individual creativity and organizational creativity, these are definitely connected. But while all organizational creativity is a result of individual creativity, but reverse is not necessarily true. That is, all individual creativity is not of organizations. In this concept, if organizations and individuals, they are going to differ with each other. The organization must be efficient, productive, and predictable, whereas the individual, they may behave that they're according to the situation or time. As such, the behaviors are generally unpredictable. So, if such unpredictable behavior is seen, it will have a potential differentiation between creativity of both. So, let us see, in order to remedy such a situation, the organization should focus on three particular areas. These are people, environment, and processes. People, as discussed above, creative people are the sources of organizational creativity. So, it is the fact that people are easily motivated, and organizations, they can instill such motivation through inspiring strategies. They are the engine of innovation. So, organizational creativity can be maximized through increased individual creativity. Now, this may require time and more effort, but while using these strategies, it is highly dependent on the efficiency of the individuals that are working. Then we have the environment. Now, many organizations like Google and Apple, they have increased their organizational creativity by creating stimulating work environments for their employees. So, individuals working across the territories, now they have creative ideas such as ideas or suggestions that can be called through online platform. So this system relieves the organization from forced brainstorming sessions and allows the creativity to become more fluent and natural. So they allow the employees to come up with ideas and share them at any place and at any time. Finally, we have processes, processes by which the organization is going to manage the idea generation, congregation, and analysis. It is going to decide the quality and the quantity of individual and organizational creativity. A good idea management process can help increase the individual as well as the organizational creativity. The biggest problem is that people think that their idea will not be accepted. So, this feeling should be removed from their mind. So, it may be observed from the above that both organizational creativity and individual creativity have their own strengths and weaknesses, but the weaknesses can be removed and the strengths can be improved by strategic organization. Next topic is creativity versus innovation. What is the difference between these two terms? We have also earlier mentioned that there is a difference between them. There are definitely twin processes that can go hand in hand for greater significance, achievement, and sustainability in the organization. While creativity is generating innovative and appropriate ideas, especially at the individual level. Innovation is the procedure through which these concepts are taken, established, refined, settled, explained, and finally executed. So, putting forward new appropriate ideas using the imagination, that is creativity. Innovation is implementing the correct ideas, selecting the correct ideas from an array of creative ideas that have been provided. So, for any organization, it is very important to go on accordant and compete in pursuing of its goal. For that, attention must be required from the management. Here, both ends of the action, that is creating creative ideas as well as utilizing its innovative processes to catch the hidden potential. Both of these factors are important. New and creative ideas, also how we can use them for innovation, both of these should be focused on. Innovation is a prerequisite for achieving dynamic and aggressive marketing segments, and for innovation, effective implementation of creative ideas is important. To carry an idea from perception to marketplace, it should be recognized potentially. It must succeed to any potential hurdles such as pressure, technological tasks and challenges, or any other obstacles. Here, the procedure that ensures that these or the makers, they make them possible, that innovation, it is the most key process when we talk about the organization's creativity and innovation. So the managers, whether they're ready to put in more effort into the creative ideas and implementing them, removing the barriers, carrying the finest thought into reality, which promote a creative idea and develop a sequence for more innovative occasions. So, meaning thereby, in any organization, creativity without innovation has a very small or no value. So, for creativity to be successful, innovation should be there. They have different connotations. Creativity is generating innovative ideas. Innovation is when these concepts are applied or implemented in a successful manner. Next, what is the impact of culture on creativity and vice versa in organizations? So, organizational culture is the collective effect of the common beliefs, behaviors, and values of the people in the organization, and creativity is the ideas or innovations of a people of the group that work for the same organization. Now, unless we nurture a value based culture in the organization, the creativity cannot be unveiled. Definitely, the people of the organization, they have creative ideas, but unless they know that their ideas will be heard or they would be useful to the organization, they would not come forward. They would not try to give their ideas to the organization. So it is one of the major factors that is going to influence the creativity in the organization. Let us see how. The core traits of creative people are to possess positive attitudes and behaviors, high values, progressive thoughts, forward looking ideologies. These are the basic tenets of organizational culture as well. That is, if all of these traits exist in the people of the organization, then it is going to lead to the success or achievement of the goals. At another level, various empirical studies, they have revealed that employees that have high degree of intelligence, values, creative abilities, they can lead to meaningful cultures in the organization. So creative people equals to meaningful culture. We have established this. Therefore, it is evident that there's a proper convergence between culture and creativity. People who are potent with right cultures can also be possessors of creative ability. So it works both ways. This has been seen in various studies. Organizational culture has shown a strong influence and impact on the point to which innovation and creativity are stimulated. To enhance the excellence of organizational life cycle, innovation and creativity thus integrally play an important role in society. So both, they work towards each other. A good organizational culture is going to have a positive impact on creativity and vice versa. So herein strategy is the factor of the organizational culture, innovation and creativity. that is going to indicate mutual opinion and responsibility for the upcoming phases of the organization. Here, if we are talking about the specific behavior that is going to inspire innovation, support components, strategy, and the structure. Employees, they must perceive the mission and the vision that forward innovation and creativity, and they need to find the gap in the current circumstances. They need to find solution for that. The determinants of structure, they refer to a team that is strongly supportive, and it is going to influence the degree by which innovation and creativity they grab a position in the organization. So structure and strategy, these are important. The last element of organizational culture is the generous behavior that is going to boost innovation. It is the approach that is going to correct all the mistakes, create encouragement, overcoming on the conflicts, and continuous learning tendencies. So while support component, here if we talk about these components, so there's also the support component that is going to motivate and raise numerous ideas. They're going to promote innovation and creativity, draw attention to appreciation, rewards, right? Last element we have already discussed. So creativity can be stimulated through interactions with people from different cultures rather than mere superficial exposure. Ultimately, cultural values can also promote creativity. So it works in a two-way process. Like we concluded, creativity nurtures culture and culture nurtures creativity in the organization. Earlier, we have mentioned the importance of a creative leader or manager for nurturing creativity in the organization. What are the essential qualities of effective leader? First, they should have the urge to acquire new knowledge. They should have a habit of constant questioning as to how and why of things, a strong passion and interest to think out of the box, the ability to think creatively, then an inherent urge to gauge and evaluate people in terms of their motives and attitudes, etc. They should also have compassion to meet people's different vivid knowledge, sensitivity, empathy, and compassion for those who are in distress, responsiveness to delicate the aspects and things. They should be involved, potent with maturity and forward looking, being a visionary, having capability to evolve solutions for appropriate situations. Then boldness is also required. They should be able to calculate the risk taking. Then passion for starting own ventures, projects. They should have certain level of confidence that is required. Autonomy and freedom, questioning the status quo, open to others' views but keeping decision with self. They should be empathic, putting forth of viewpoint, forceful assertion, and venting of feelings. They should be flexible enough, have confidence in managing the conflicts and crisis, and self-reliance. Confidence in operating in unfamiliar situations, tendency to take on challenging tasks, etc. So therefore, creative managers we can say are open, driven, energetic, unorthodox, and different. They should be ready to experiment, have self-confidence. These are some of the characteristics. So creative managers, they are intrinsically motivated as opposed to the non-creative managers. They are motivated only by the external factors. So the number of skills that are identified with such creative managers are going to influence and nurture the organizational creativity. Finally, let us discuss some strategies to create an ethical organizational culture. These are some of the strategies that can work in the relationship between creativity and ethical culture. First, the management's visible role modeling. Here, like many things, creating an ethical culture should first start from the top management. Role modeling is when the employees, they see the behavior of their managers and they work in their steps. So employees, they look to the behavior of top management as a model of what's acceptable behavior in the workplace. Therefore, the leaders must practice what they preach. They must be sure that the what behavior they are going to portray is going to be further adopted by the employees. So when the top and senior management, they are observed to be practicing the ethical values themselves, it is going to send a positive message to the employees, and they're going to replicate such ethical behaviors. Then communicate clearly the do's and don'ts on the ethical expectations. Clear communication, that is unambiguous, is important. Ethical confusions can reduce creativity, it can reduce the ethical and moral behaviors. So all organizations must have both written and unwritten rules and guidelines about how to act within the environments. These communications should reach each and every point, and the basic values and ethical rules should be explained clearly to the employees how they are going to follow and implement this as a part of their service rules. So clear explanations should be made, there should be no confusion. Offering ethical education and training can be another strategy. For this, organizations can set up seminars, workshops, town hall meetings, or other training programs. Also, innovating digital and online social media educational platform. This can also help towards creating more awareness in the Gen Y employees. Using these training sessions, we can enforce the organization's standard of conduct. Herein, we can address the ethical dilemmas. The ethics hotlines can be created, they can work as the resources, frequently asked questions. Self-certifying compliance can also be there. Then focus on ethical skill building and problem solving abilities. The training and educational endeavors can be useful for acquiring the basic knowledge, but then the next step is problem solving techniques wherein ethics are important. So these tools, they include being able to bring internal and external to the organizational expert so that they can engage the staff at all the levels of training and program solving. So having ethics ombudsman or point person for the organization can be especially valuable. If they want to create a culture of ethics, they must be sure that the members have the tools that they need to do so. Then rewards and punishments. Here, positive reinforcement for the behavior that is acceptable or expected to be ethical, and negative reinforcement for the behavior who are violating the code. Then, like recognition and appreciation of ethical behavior, they can practice integrity and honesty, offering opportunities for recognition, awards, social reinforcement. These can go a long way. So, positive reinforcements for the acceptable behavior. Then also it's important to foster an open culture. The management, they should be of the view that open culture that encourages the people to come forward and speak. Here allegations also play important role. They are important signals about the health and culture of the company, including the openness of the communication. So the people should feel safe enough to make allegations, and the leader should be wide enough to act on them. The individual loyalty towards his superiors or the top management of the organization also works here. So, as a leader, it is essential to remember that whistleblowers are not the enemy. They are actually bringing any problem or gaps to the front, and the manager should try to protect them while also working to solve the problem. Providing safe and protective mechanisms. Organizations should need to provide formal mechanisms so that the people or the employees, they can discuss ethical dilemmas and report any unethical behavior without the fear of reprimand. The organization here might include creation of ethical counselors, ombudsmen, or ethical officers. If people are shy or introvert, they might find it challenging to report any unethical behavior. They also have a fear of intimidation if they feel, if they have to report the unethical behavior. So if there are violations happening, that the employee should feel safe to bring it up, such environment should be creative. And finally, provide corrective feedback. This is another basic and important principle of fostering ethical culture. Unlike Unless the organizations offer timely and thoughtful corrective feedback regarding the ethical behavior, they cannot create a robust culture of ethics. So, the corrective feedback needs to be given in the spirit of collaboration and right sizing the behavior rather than to find faults or punishment. Collaboration and education will allow more openness and less defensiveness when feedback is provided. So, timely and immediate feedback is crucial to maximize the clear understanding of the problem behavior as well. So these are some of the strategies that the organization can use to create an ethical organizational culture. Finally, after all of this, we can conclude that conducive culture and robust creativity in the workplace. These are regarded as the key drivers for organizational success and effectiveness. So these terms, creativity, they have more meanings. Creativity is essentially to be fostered in all operational and administrative verticals, but it is not only the responsibility of the line managers and the business head, but also the role of the HR is very vital if they want to imbibe the creative cultures. Also, to harness such cultures on an ongoing process. So, not just the top management, but also the HR should be focused on this process. So, we have discussed enough that creating ethical values and behaviors among the workforce, imbibing the right culture and attitude is one of the core functions of the developmental HR. So, given this fact, as a part of its contemporary and developmental role, the HR in the organization should ably equip with necessary and needed skills so that they can encourage the employees to right size their attitudes and behaviors towards fostering ethical culture with an objective of making the banks truly successful and effective. So, basically, to nurture creativity and a positive ethical culture in the organization, all of its members should play their roles. With this, we have come to the end of this lesson. Keep learning with us. Thank you.